Well, this morning, 2 federal officers involved in the deadly shooting of Alex Preddy have been placed on leave as new video surfaces of his past interactions with federal agents. It's time for the Streamline, everything you need to know in 10 minutes or less. Attorney General Pam Bondi is now in Minneapolis, joining Board Czar Tom Homan, who was sent by the White House in an attempt to ease the tensions there. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was critical of the president's response.
What the White House wants is for these scenes on the streets to stop because it's tanking their approval ratings.
All of this comes as new video appears to show Alex Preddy 11 days before the shooting. You see him there kicking a federal vehicle. Agents are then seen tackling him to the ground, and he does walk away. A gun is visible in his waistband. Now, multiple sources tell ABC News the 2 agents involved in the shooting death of Preddy are currently on administrative leave. A Homeland Security spokesperson says this is standard protocol. In Washington, D.C., President Trump and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer appear closer to reaching a deal to negotiate new restrictions on federal immigration agents to prevent a government shutdown. Friday is the deadline, and Democrats are demanding new rules on warrants and personal identification. They also want to ban agents from wearing face masks. The deal would separate Homeland Security funding so that Democrats can approve funding to keep other federal agents running.
The Trump administration's decision to deploy National Guard troops to several U.S. cities this past year was not cheap. A report from the Congressional Budget Office shows it cost taxpayers about $496 million over the last 6 months. The nonpartisan CBO says if these deployments continue through 2026, the final tally could rise to $1.1 billion. These findings are based on deployments to L.A., D.C., Memphis, Portland, and Chicago. A White House spokesperson responded to the CBO estimates by saying the deployments helped reduce crime in those cities. A clash with protesters outside a Texas detention facility. Video shows state troopers pushing back the crowd and tear gas getting deployed. This is at the center in Dilley, Texas, which is southwest of San Antonio. That's where 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father are being held. They were detained in Minnesota last Tuesday. Congressman Joaquin Castro met with the two for about a half hour. He says Ramos has been asking about his mother and classmates. Castro also says there are several young children detained in that facility, including a 2-month-old baby.
On Wednesday, FBI agents raided an elections office in Fulton County, Georgia, as President Trump orders the Justice Department to investigate his false claim that the 2020 election was stolen. Fulton County officials say the agents, armed with a search warrant, were seizing records related to the 2020 elections, including ballots. Just 1 week ago, Trump declared prosecutions are next.
People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It's a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections.
Joe Biden won the popular vote in 2020 by more than 7 million votes in the Electoral College, 306 to 232. His victory in Georgia was confirmed by a full statewide audit and a hand recount. Trump was later indicted in Fulton County back in 2023 on charges related to election interference, but that case was dismissed late last year. At the time, the president's own Attorney General Bill Barr determined there was no widespread voter fraud in the election. However, that has changed under the current Justice Department with Pam Bondi. President Trump is threatening Iran with a new military strike if the nation refuses to negotiate a new nuclear deal. In a Truth Social post on Wednesday, Trump warned the next strike would be far worse than the one it carried out last summer. That's when the U.S. military attacked 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump also reiterated his warning from last week that an armada is heading toward Iran and, quote, time is running out. The Iranian foreign minister has warned the country's armed forces are prepared to respond to any aggression.
The death toll from last weekend's winter storm has now grown to 65, and another storm is headed to the East Coast this weekend. The effects of that first storm are lingering in the southern states, where 300,000 people still don't have power. A heavy load of snow and ice caused the roof to crash down at this rodeo arena in Arkansas. In Mississippi, parts of 2 highways were forced to shut down. Crews needed to clear ice and move stalled semi-trucks from the road. Some drivers have been stuck in this backup for hours or even days.
There's not a lot of passenger vehicles. We anticipate that these roads are likely to freeze over again.
As for this next storm, at least a ½ foot of snow could fall from Georgia to Virginia. The temperatures in the teens are expected even to hit Florida this weekend. That would be its coldest weather since 2010.
Cancel takeoff clearance. Cancel takeoff clearance. Southwest.
Tense close call at San Antonio's airport. Now an investigation is underway. A Southwest Airlines jet had to abort takeoff when a small propeller plane took a wrong turn and entered the same runway without clearance. The Southwest plane had been going more than 100 miles an hour. The incident happened on the same day that the head of the NTSB warned about crowded airspace in parts of the country. The NTSB chair says Southern California has a high risk for a collision similar to the one in Washington last year.
The next midair is going to be at Burbank, and nobody at FAA is paying attention to us.
In response, the Burbank airport says safety is its, quote, top priority. Despite the warning from the NTSB, the number of crashes last year was the lowest since 2020 during the pandemic.
The U.S. dollar just had its worst losing streak since April. The dollar index fell 2.6% over the past 4 days. It's now near its lowest level in 4 years. According to analysts, uncertainty about the Trump administration's policy decisions is contributing to a weaker dollar. The Fed held rates steady at the end of its two-day policy meeting on Wednesday. That can hopefully help boost the buck. And that's your ABC 10 News Streamline. Everything you need to know today in under 10 minutes.